So now that we've seen the equation for how the length of a solid changes as it's heated, so we've seen delta L is equal to alpha L0 times delta T, we're going to come up with an equation to describe how the volume of a solid changes as it's heated. Now, when we're doing that, it's important to remember that our equation for the change in length was just a linear approximation. We didn't include any higher order terms in regards to the change in temperature. So we didn't do this because this was a relatively good approximation, and it keeps the maths much simpler if we're just taking this linear approximation. So this works for small changes in temperature, so small delta T's. So now, in order to work out an expression for the change in volume, let's imagine a rectangular prism with a width W, a length L, and a height H. I'm sure you're aware that this means that the volume, the initial volume of this solid, is just equal to the width times the length times the height. So we can write VI is equal to WLH. Now what we're going to do is work out the final volume of this solid once it's been heated. So we can say that the final volume is equal to the initial volume plus the change in the volume. And considering that the final volume is going to be the final width times the final length times the final height, we can write this is also going to be equal to W plus delta W times L plus delta L times H plus delta H. And now, because the width, length, and height are all just changes in one dimension, we can use our equation for the change in length to work out what these will be. So, for example, delta W will be equal to alpha times W0 times delta T. So we can write the final volume is then equal to W plus alpha times W0 times delta T, and then this is times L plus alpha times L0 times delta T, and then times H plus alpha times H0 times delta T. Now, in each of these brackets, there's a common factor, so we can simplify this a little by writing, well, this is equal to W times 1 plus alpha delta T times L, brackets, 1 plus alpha delta T times H, brackets 1 plus alpha delta T, which you can see can be written as this is equal to WLH times 1 plus alpha delta T cubed. Now what we're going to do is expand the terms inside the bracket there. So the way I like to do this is to remember Pascal's triangle, though you possibly have another way to do it with the binomial theorem, for example. So with Pascal's triangle, we can write 1 and then 1, 1, and then what we do is sum up the terms above. So we've got 1, 2, 1, and then on the next line 1, 3, 3, 1. So this gives us the coefficients when we expand a cubic. So we can write this as WLH, which will simplify as the initial volume. So we can write this is equal to the initial volume times brackets 1 plus 3 alpha delta T plus 3 alpha squared delta T squared plus alpha cubed delta T cubed. Now what we can do in this expression is ignore all the higher order terms. Now there's a couple of reasons that we can do this. Firstly, it would be incorrect to include higher order terms in the expression for the change in volume without including them for the expression for the change in length. Now, mathematically, we also know that alpha is relatively small, so they were of order of about 10 to the minus 5, 10 to the minus 6. So when we square this, that becomes of order of 10 to the minus 10, 10 to the minus 12. So it becomes quite small. So those higher order terms are small, and we've said this only holds over small delta t's anyway. So delta t is also relatively small. So those are a couple of reasons for leaving out the higher order terms. So when we leave out the higher order terms, you can see that this expression becomes, well, the final volume is equal to the initial volume times 1 plus 3 alpha delta t, which we can write as equal to the initial volume times 3 alpha times the initial volume times delta t. Now, because the change in volume is equal to V final minus V initial, we can write that this becomes delta V is equal to 3 alpha times the initial volume times delta T. So this is our expression for the change in volume of a solid. Now, this is the expression that we use for solids because with solids, it's relatively easy to measure how the length of a side changes as it's heated. However, liquids also expand when they're heated, and we don't really have a length for a liquid because liquids take on the shape of the container. So it wouldn't make sense to work out how much the length of the liquid changed. But it does make sense to measure how the volume of a liquid changes. So for liquids, rather than using 3 alpha, we use what's known as the volume expansion coefficient beta. So for a liquid, we can write, well, the change in volume is equal to beta times the initial volume times the change in temperature. So beta is related to alpha for solids through beta is equal to 3 alpha. Now, it's also possible to derive an expression for how the area of a solid is going to change as it's heated. In order to do this, we follow the same process as we used for volumes, only for areas. So, for example, the area of a face would be the length times the width. So I'm going to leave this as an exercise for you to perform. If you do it correctly, you'll end up with the expression that the change in area, delta A, is equal to 2 alpha times the initial area, which is A0, times delta T. So I recommend that you have a go at deriving that now.